Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Hayden Crawford. And thanks for being here today, and especially sharing your. This is Tuesday night for me and Wednesday morning for you. I'm looking at the future, looking at
Quite literally.
quite literally. But Hayden, let me tell y'all a little bit about him. He's the founder of Dreamtime Academy, and we are simulcasting from there. And he is here to guide light workers, healers, and spiritual seekers through the ascension process with powerful tools like numerology. His Starseed podcast, color therapy, and his galactic guidance. Now, how I've known I've known of Hayden for a minute, more than a minute. Way back, I can't say way back, when he started doing his Starseed shows, your shows that you were going about the Palladians, Arcturian. That's when I found you, or I was interested in what you were doing, and so I've been interested in your information and the things that you had to share since then. So, who was it that got us connected? Oh, it was Ann Perry, numerology, who I've been friends with for years, got us together. So, Hayden, you have a few words to say?
Yeah, it was Anne, wasn't it? Anne Perry that connected us. And I love Anne. She's like one of the ladies that I interviewed on the Numerology Show podcast. And she was probably one of the most genuine and authentic people that I met as a numerologist. She was very humble and she knew her stuff. So I actually asked her to give me a reading afterwards, which she did. She, because I felt so confident in her abilities. And then we got together for the predictions show for 2026 as well, where a group of numerologists all got together and started sharing our insights about what, it's going to be like in 2026 as moving into a universal year one, which is all about fresh new beginnings. Well, so, yeah, I've got an ongoing relationship with her. She's lovely.
Yeah. Is that podcast on your channel?
Yeah, it's called the Numerology Show. Yeah, it's one of the ones that I do.
Now, that's the one that you had, their predictions of 2026.
Yes.
Can you get everybody a highlight of what to expect besides it being universal year number one?
Yeah. So it was really interesting to get this group together because, like, included in the group, I think there was 6 or 7 of us, was Lynn Buez, and he is an incredible cosmologist and numerologist. And he's like called the grandfather of numerology. He's fascinating. And he's written 15 books on the subjects over the years. And so it started out with him and him sort of giving his interpretation of the way we're going to be stepping more into the divine feminine energies, as even though the one is connected with masculine energy, right. The 26 of 2026 carries a lot of divine, sort of almost like Mary Magdalene energy. So he sort of portrayed it as us moving away from like the suited and booted badass women into more of a soft feminine leadership energy that's going to be coming in over this period. And then there was Joy Woodward, who is another amazing numerology author, and Novalee Wilder, who does Chaldean numerology. And there was, just some really amazing people, including Anne Perry. And everybody kind of shared their perspective on what they feel 2026 is going to be like, based around the influence of the number one energy, which is really all about fresh new spring rebirths. So, and as stepping more into our sovereign power, our sovereignty. It was, this card I've got actually from my Oversoul Codex deck. It's called Sovereignty. Yeah. And it carries the energy of the one. So it's where we kind of really find our power again and assert ourselves, but not in a really dominant, sort of masculine way like it's been done before.
Right. So, okay, well, I interrupted you on everything else. But yeah, this year is interesting. Did you see anything particular? Did y'all go through the months, or y'all just gave your kind of overview of the whole year?
Oh, well, it was funny because Lynn actually sent me an amazing email about his predictions because there were so many of us in the chat. You know, each
Yeah.
person just had one or two questions that they could answer within the hour, and so. But Lynn sent me some incredible predictions for 2026, including things like there's going to be almost like another French Revolution over the next few years. And you know, we spoke about technology, the advancements in technology, the government changes that are taking place. You know, this about us using more discernment with technology as well, because you know a lot of it has become like a huge echo chamber now, and we've got to start really feeling into how we're using these new artificial intelligences. So it was quite a broad conversation. It's definitely worth exploring. And for me, I learned loads because as a numerologist myself, you know, you don't know everything, and you've almost got to. That's why I found I learned so much just from bringing in other numerologists' experience and wisdom. And the group is really solid, and we'll be getting together again in the future to do more collaborative shows, I think.
Oh, good. Well, I've got this interesting question because, well, not me, but this is like White Eagle. What about the zero?
Yeah, so the zero is an interesting number, and actually, you know, it's been discussed on previous episodes of the numerology show, and it is an amplifier, the zero. So whenever the zero appears, whatever number it kind of appears next to, it amplifies the qualities.
So if it's a 10, the zero amplifies the one. If it's a 20,
Yeah,
the zero amplifies the two. That makes
yeah.
sense.
It does, yeah. So another example would be like threes are very creative, but when you're day number 30 or your life path is the 30 before we reduce it to the three, that's extreme creativity. So it's an amplifier, you know, and it's almost like that sort of pause. It represents potentiality. So it's like before anything happens, you know, that the energy of that, the void almost.
Okay. Well, let me say hello to our guests that are coming in right now, and then we'll get into some more things here. Hey, Kimberly in the Ethers, thanks for joining us today. Hey, Ann Carter from Arkansas, thanks for being here, Ann. Hey, Anna Haxton, thanks for being here. White Dragon, hey, he's saying hello, Gail and guests. Thanks for being here. Hey, Mangled Unicorn, thanks for being here. Teresa, thanks for joining us. And let's see who else is here. Anna Haxton, thanks for being here. She says she found you from a short. She said she found you from a short on 27/9. You do great interviews, is what she's saying.
Oh, thank you, Anna. That's so sweet. I'm
That is,
pleased that you're enjoying them.
and here's Teresa. She's saying, please remember to like and subscribe to all channels. So we are simulcasting with Hayden's channel. And so go ahead, his channel. Yours is Dreemtime Academy, correct? And
Yeah, Dreemtime Academy with a double A.
yeah, so go ahead and subscribe over there. Subscribe here. It is free. So go ahead and subscribe. It's nothing for you to doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to our channels. Hey, Son of What, thanks for being here. Hey, White Eagle, thanks for being here, and thanks for your question. Let's see who else is here. Yet another Linda. I still love your name. Yet another Linda. Thanks for being here, and thanks everybody for joining us on this Tuesday evening for me and Wednesday morning for Hayden. So you get 2 days in one here. How about that? 2 days in one. So okay. So Hayden, what you got in store? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question today. Well, I've got a few questions that I wanted to ask you as well today, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
So the first one is like the podcast interview that we did for Cosmic Conversations together a few weeks ago has actually done really well on my channel. It's probably had the most views out of all the interviews that I've done.
Oh wow.
Cosmic Conversations, yeah. So we got to, I think, about nearly 8,500 on that one, and a lot of people really fascinated by you and the way you so articulately explain what the work that you do on the medical spaceships. But kind of still have a few questions, you know, like after watching the episode again, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I ask that? You know, because you know when you kick yourself because it just doesn't come up
Well,
at the right time sometimes.
I get that all the time when I'm on the spaceship doing different things, and I'll come back and somebody asks, "Why didn't you ask this?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? That was a deer in headlights." Oh, no, words were not coming out of my mouth. I'm just looking in awe.
It will be, yeah. I mean, I can imagine, you know, it wouldn't feel real. So to be
Yeah.
able to ask decent questions would be impossible. But so what's actually happening though? You know, is it a physical experience, or is it an interdimensional one, or is it something occurring through consciousness and the energy body?
Well, I describe it as there's two events occurring. And I do describe that in my second book. I put in the definition of how I do these things. There's two ways of going. When I'm astral traveling, it's like the ghost of my body leaves my real body and goes out there, and it can observe, and it can have fun, do these kind of things, but it's mainly observing. And remote viewing comes under that. Remote viewing would be like a controlled astral traveling. So when I'm doing that, I'm just going out either having fun or looking at what's going on. And that's one form, and it looks like a ghost. It's just a ghost to me that raises off of my body and leaves. When my soul goes, my body has to be in still, it has to be in meditation, or it has to be sleeping, and that soul can leave my body and go take on another body. It can take the form of me, which I usually take on a younger version of myself, or it could even take on a well body that I've done, or another ET body. But it can take on any other form that I want to take it on, and that form can touch, taste, work, and do anything that it would be that's in this 3D world. So those are the two ways I travel. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. So can you then describe maybe one clear experience with the medical starships, like step by step, so people understand like what you perceive, feel in your body, and become aware of during these encounters?
Okay. I would say, how about I go through my first experience on the first time I flew a spaceship or went on the spaceship first time was when I was in my living room and I was meditating, and I had an ET that showed up, and it was gold being, and it shocked the crap out of me. I mean, it really shocked me. But um, at that time, I didn't know what was happening because before I was usually probably astral traveling. This might have been my first time that it was actually my soul that was leaving, but it did. It got up and it left, and it followed this ET out to a spaceship. Now, seeing that spaceship, I had fear. First, I was in awe. Then I had fear when I walked up the steps to go in because I'm going, I'm being abducted. So I had all those kind of emotions that was going on, and I'm sitting there going, why am I going up this ramp? Why am I doing this? You know, are you stupid? Just kind of thing. All those things were going through my mind. And, you know, the whole human experience, everything like that. And going into spaceship, and there's another gold being at the top of the steps. And I'm just going, I'm really, something's wrong with me just to follow him out so just easily. So when I went in there, the first thing they did was had me have a seat. And I remember how the seat was cushiony, but it was a little chilly when I sat in it. So I remember that feeling. But then probably the next thing that we did when I was, I would say the biggest thing I was overwhelmed, and I also was afraid were the two feelings I was having because it was a new experience. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if I was being abducted. And then when they took me to another room to see the inside of the spaceship, the workings of it, there was another ET there that looked different, and he scared me also. They put me in this room with him to learn all these things that was happening in there to explore, and I was too afraid to absorb anything or what was happening. But by the time they took me back to the seat to go home, then I was getting comfortable and everything was becoming okay. And then I was really enjoying the experience of seeing the stars and the moon and all those planets. And so I would say that was my experience. And that experience, I experienced cold, I experienced fear, I experienced touching, and of course, I was seeing all these things also. So I was having all the human experiences, but I do think that might have been the first time my soul went out. I'm sure it has while I've been sleeping, but it's the first time that I remember or recognize that that's what was happening.
Great. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks for, clarifying that with me. So how do these medical spaceships work then with your body and consciousness? And what kind of healing or changes do you notice as a result of that?
Me personally noticing the changes in me. Well, the first time I'll go first time I was going up on the spaceship, the message I got 5 days before or 4 days before was to go on a bland diet. And I didn't know why, but it kept hearing it over and over and over and over again, go on a bland diet. And finally I was like, why not just go on a bland diet? What's going to hurt? So on day 4 is when the ET that took me on the spaceship showed up for me. It was the first time I saw him. But after that experience, I was sick for 2 weeks. I was nauseated. So if I had not eaten like I had before I went up, I would have been sick, really sick. And the only thing I could eat for like the next 2 weeks was just bread. I couldn't eat. I couldn't stomach anything else. So I was physically affected by it for weeks afterwards. But it didn't stop me from going again when he came back. I was ready. I didn't care if I was going to be sick in it. I wanted that experience again. I enjoyed it so much. So I'm looking at, see, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm telling my story and I'm not looking at the chat that much. I'm sorry. Y'all putting in some good information and questions, but of course, I'm rambling here. So I'll try to get back and look at some of your questions in a minute. So I'm answering Hayden's questions right now.
Yeah, but I thank you for that. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's just really helps me to comprehend, sort of like what goes on within you, your own body, your own consciousness, but also for, the ETs that, you're helping on board the ships as well. So, how do the medical spaceships help those beings as well?
Well, for different beings on the medical spaceship, first ship I was on was called the Ashtar Medical One. And it was a hybrid spaceship. I'm a hybrid. And that's where I discovered that I was a hybrid because they told me everybody who worked on that spaceship was a hybrid. But at that time, I was the only human looking person working on there. But they gave me an office that I was able to decorate myself. And they gave me an operating room that I could create how it looked. And that was so much fun because it's not like decorating here on Earth. You just press a machine buttons and like poof, there it is. And that was a lot of fun. But the things that they had there, now, because I worked in the operating room for 40 plus years, I had operating room experiences, and I did specialize in neurosurgery and open heart surgery. And when I walked into the operating room the first time to see the equipment they had, it's very similar to what was on Earth, except for it was modernized, better, so much better. But I understood all of it. I knew how it worked. I had going, okay, I know how this works. I used this on Earth. I used this in the operating room. So it wasn't that foreign to me. The only difference there was that how much we focused on color therapy and how much we focused on chakra therapy. Those things were really different. And also, we also, a little bit later, I was learning how to put a kind of a halo on top of people's head, and you could do brain surgery through that. And it was this little, I don't know, electric stimulation that was changing how the pathways were going. And it was being used for people who experienced depression and had like suicidal thoughts, anger issues. It was being used for that to change people's brain waves, so they were not experiencing that anymore. Also, I was specializing in removing implants from the negative entities, and they were from people who were gifted, that they had been implanted to keep them down from not being able to use their gifts. So I would take those implants out and then They would have a lot of directions and things they had to do, and color therapy was a really big part of that process. And then that would be put them. It would jump them up to go to the level of being able to start using their abilities. Am I talking clearly enough or explaining? I feel like I'm rambling here, Hayden.
No, I think that you are explaining. So when you were actually a doctor and you used to specialize in neurosurgery and open heart surgery, were you actually doing the operations yourself or were you assisting the surgeons?
I was a nurse, and so I was doing all of it. I was trained to assist the doctors, and also was trained to pass the instruments, and also was trained the nurse that runs around the room works on the equipment. So I had to learn how to do all that. So when I walked into that operating room, it was very familiar to me, except for I had to learn, how that equipment worked. Now I had a nurse. She would have been a nurse that was my right hand person. Her name was Clarice, and she was a gray human hybrid, and she was real serious. And I was the cut up, and she just didn't get me a lot of times. And she would correct me a lot of times. So, because I was more human. And so anyway, she worked with me, and she was a lot of help. She just helped, amazing how good she is. And it's like a good nurse in the operating room. You just can't do without somebody like that. So she was like me when I worked in the operating room.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's so interesting. So then are you okay with me asking you all these questions,
Yes,
Gail?
I appreciate you asking me these questions, because I'm sure everybody else has these things to ask, and I don't know to reveal or how to say it or share it if somebody is not questioning what I'm saying, if that makes sense. So I bring on the questions, because sometimes I have to sit back and go, how did I do that? Oh, I did that, kind of thing. So it helps me. It helps me explain it to others also.
And I guess to process it as well, doesn't it? It must help you to process what you've been experiencing. Okay, then, so how do you personally discern that this is genuine contact rather than imagination or subconscious imagery? What tells you that it's real for you?
I don't know that I can distinguish between that for sure, but it just seems so real. Discernment, you focus on the heart, on how you feel around the beings. You really go to heart, being heart centered. And you go about how the feeling, because I do, have, come across some negative, aliens or extraterrestrials or beings. And so it's a feeling. You can feel it if they're bad or good or whatever. And discerning if it's my imagination or I have not ever had this kind of imagination before. So I can just go about my past history that I've never been one to be this creative. So I can go by that, because I've always been the math science person, the one that's been the operating room, and then I went to chiropractic. I've been always business, math, science all my life, and then this happens. So I do think that's a big part of it, is they've taken this person who has not had a metaphysical journey all her life, who's fresh, who's not been exposed to all these things, and we're giving her this information, and she can present it from a person who doesn't have that kind of past to help others understand it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It would almost be strange for a scientific mind like you to all of a sudden develop an imagination that's conjuring up all of these illusionary experience, because you'd be like, well, for what purpose? I mean, something major must have happened neurologically to you for you to shift from science to imagination.
Well, yeah, my science brain went to, I must have a brain tumor. I said that for months when it was happening to me. I kept going to a friend of mine who was metaphysical, and she helped me on this journey. I'd known her for 15 years and worked with her, and she kept going, I know you're okay. you just had a spiritual awakening. And then I would have to go Google what is a spiritual awakening when I'd leave. And but she kept saying that because I go, I know I have a brain tumor. Something's wrong with me. I need an MRI. And she would just laugh at me every time. And she'd go, I know you. You're okay.
So what about for people that are watching then today who've had unusual or unexplained experiences like you? What signs would suggest that they're having a similar kind of contact, and how should they integrate that safely? What would be your guidance to them? Because I'm sure there's loads of people that are watching this live right now that have had, you know, similar encounters.
Right. And I would say probably practically everyone who's still here and not running away going, who's this crazy girl talking, is probably having the same type of experiences, whether they remember it or they don't remember it, when they're being exposed to it and they're not just running away from it. They're having those kind of experiences, and they're also going, okay, I understand what she's saying, and they start really opening their mind up to it. And I think, again, that comes from somebody who doesn't have that big, long metaphysical past, that I acknowledge, and I look at people and I come from a different angle to say, oh, wait a minute, let me explain this where you might be able to understand it. And I do think that I thought at first it was such a weakness of mine, not having that kind of past, and I now think it was a strength. There still is a strength, because I can come from a person who doesn't have any kind of past, and all of a sudden these things start happening to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So you mentioned something earlier before we sort of came on to today's conversation about I've got two brothers that look like them.
Yeah,
sort of like hybrid.
Yeah. Well, what it was, everybody, before I came on, I kept giving these images of Hayden had two brothers, and I kept seeing him on. They have uniforms on. That I kept seeing him going in and hugging them, and it looked like it was a spaceship. So, but I just wasn't sure. So when I saw Hayden, I went, "Do you have two brothers?" And he goes, "No." And I went, "Okay, so this is on a spaceship." And then I go, "Well, yeah, you do. You have two brothers that are up on the spaceship that you go visit regularly, and you're the only one that's here on Earth." The thing is I'm trying to see what they look like, but now they're now showing who they are. They're real jokesters, and they showed me like they look like ETs with these little balls coming out of their head, little antennas, and that's what they were showing me. I could see that they had human form, kind of, but that's all they were. So they were being such jokesters. But I'm guessing I'm believing there might be Yaels. Maybe see if that's who they are. Are they Yaels? No. They're telling me they're Palladians. Yeah, they're Palladians. And so anyway, these, especially there's one of them that's a real jokester. That's what they were showing me, and I kept going, why do you keep showing me that? And then I drew the picture, which is a terrible picture, to Hayden. I'm going, this is what they keep showing me. This is not what they really look like, but this is what they keep showing me. But he has two brothers that he goes up on a spaceship and works with, and he's the only one down in Earth in the human form.
That's great. I've always connected with the Pleiades, I must admit. It's out of the different constellations, it's the one that fascinates me the most in our solar system. Of course, I know that my soul is Andromedan, so I do connect a lot with like Andromeda, both the galaxy, but also the constellation. But the Pleiades is a beautiful system. I can almost like imagine what it's like being in the Pleiades. I feel like it's a very futuristic, crystalline sort of cityscape. Have you been to the Pleiades yourself?
I do. I'm not as connected to the Pleiades as others, but you're describing Lemuria in the Mount Shasta as a crystal city there. But yeah, the Palladians are known for their crystal beds and things like that also. But I'm looking at Suzanne. She says, "Are you triplets?" And I'm getting, yes, they are triplets, Suzanne. That is a great question. I'm glad you picked up on that, because yes, Hayden is a triplet. Those are his two brothers, and they are triplets. Hayden's the only one that has come down to Earth. But the Pleiades, I think the reason why it's the Pleiadians is because they're the most prominent ones here on Earth helping the ascension process. So I think that's why I don't run into as many Andromeda souls here. I don't know. Do you, Hayden? Do you?
Yeah, I do. I meet them all, like, because I create starseed numerology reports.
Right.
I find that 80% of the people that I create reports for are from either the Andromeda constellation or the galaxy. And I'm always like, am I doing the calculations right? Because it's like, well, how? Like, how am I attracting all these Andromedans? Because they're supposed to be the smallest
right group here.
Population. There's only 10,000 of them, but I feel like I've met all 10,000 of them.
Well, let me ask you a question further, because I feel, and I don't know if this is correct, I feel like there's a lot of people here from Andromeda, but like their original soul. But I do feel like they've gone to the Pleiades or the Arcturian or Arcturus and different things like that. And that's those souls of them coming here. Sorry, that's my cat, Dirty Harriet, coming in, talking to me. I'm not sure why she's coming here talking, but anyway, she's coming in, being mouthy. But I wanted to ask you about that, because I feel like Andromeda might be the original soul, and then there's a stepping stone of going to become, a Palladian or an Arcturian or a Syrian or whatever, and that's what kind of shows up more here on Earth, because then the next stepping stone, let's go here and try to get this Earth people, these humans, to come join us. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. How do you feel about that? What's your take on it?
So what's my take on the fact that I've come originally from Andromeda, then maybe stopped off, done some lifetimes in the Pleiades or Sirius or Arcturus, and then come to Earth to be able to help?
Well, I know we kind of all have done that, but I'm almost feeling like the majority of us have the original, maybe Andromeda originality.
Oh, I've never thought about that, to be fair. I mean, quite possibly, yeah, quite possibly. I don't know. I mean, I read a book recently called The Prism of Lyra, and that explains ancient Lyra as almost being where a lot of us, sort of souls came originally from. But I don't know. I mean, it's definitely something worth considering. Well, I'll tell you a question I do have for you, though, with regards to Mark, my husband, and I. Sorry.
Got one more question, because the Andromeda leaps over to something else.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of us are originally from Andromeda, and a lot of us participated in the Orion Wars. I think both these two are significant in everybody's life. So what's your take on that?
That we participated in the Orion Wars as well.
I'm sorry.
So are you okay?
Yeah. I don't know why I'm getting choked up. Yeah, that's my I'm just thinking that we might all come have an Andromeda past, and we all have participated in Orion Wars, and we have a lot of work to do on the trauma that we have experienced on Orion.
Probably, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think both Lyra, the wars in Lyra and Orion, I think there's a lot of trauma. A lot of the people that I've worked with over the years have soul memories of the duality and the wars that were taking place, and the almost those patterns of trauma then coming through in their earthly experience, and them having to try and unravel all of that. A lot of them have really struggled with integrating their human experience with all of those traumatic soul memories. So I absolutely think that there's a large proportion of us that have maybe escaped the Orion matrix. I think there was it's very difficult to escape the Orion matrix, right, but there was many souls that did, and they came to Earth, didn't they? So maybe they're the ones that are seeking out the most help from people like us. I'm not sure.
I know. It's a lot to think about, isn't it?
It really is. And it's only when you get into conversations like this that you start sort of piecing the puzzles together.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm sorry I interrupted. You were going to ask me a question, but I wanted to ask that one more thing because that has been coming up with me a lot lately is the fact that so many of us participated in the Orion Wars, and we're here in this lifetime to work some of those traumas through some of those traumas.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a huge theme. Because a lot of the work that I do is through regressions as well. So I do take people into past parallel lives, and often they are other planetary. Not always, sometimes they're just other human incarnations. But a lot of the people that have these, they maybe start as children having these vivid dreams of wars that are going on in different planets. And of course, as a child, you're not going to get that information from the telly, are you? Unless you're watching Star Trek or whatever. But so they come in with this, and then it's hard for them to be able to process it all, and it continues then as conflict within their adult relationships as well,
Right.
and their sense of disconnection or that feeling that they can't go home.
Yeah. Yes. It is a lot to process, a lot to think about. But as I said, it's just been coming up to me here recently about how many of us, and it might be me remembering my own self being in the Orion Wars and allowing those memories to come up, because I'm sure I have really suppressed them, because I know I was a fighter, and I know I probably did a lot of damage. So, and I do see myself as an Arcturian, as a fighter. So, but I try not to go there. But sometimes I'm wondering if you shouldn't go there.
Yes, it's interesting that you say that you were a fighter within Orion and Arcturus, because there's two cards that I want to show you from the Cosmic Family Oracle cards that will show you what they look like, the Orion and the Arcturian warriors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are actually archetypes within the deck of cards. So the Arcturian warrior is this one here, and he's called Zuange.
And what is he? Is he holding a light, like a lightsaber?
Yeah, he is actually. So it's all about masculine power and trouble with authority. So whenever this card comes up, it's that old, like the boys in blue, and not wanting to be told what to do by authority figures, and it's like resisting powers that claim to be hierarchical, and all of this sort of energy.
I'll say that was my weapon.
That was your weapon?
That was my weapon, was kind of a lightsaber sword kind of thing.
We see this is Bellatrix, which is the Orion warrior, and you can see that she's sort of part reptilian. She's holding some sort of futuristic weapon as well, and Bellatrix is the warrior star. I think it means the warrior. It's actually the name Bellatrix. Yeah.
Well, people are probably wondering, where in the world did you get those cards?
So, but she's like all about abusing power or controlling with fear, and we know that that's kind of what's taking place on the planet, isn't it? With regards to the authority figures, the government and the police, especially what's going on with ICE, in America now and everything as well.
Can you tell people where you got those cards?
I designed them myself. So these cards I channeled the cards. They're called the Cosmic Family Oracle cards around about a year ago, and I launched them 6 months ago. So there's 88 of them. They're like there for your ascension journey. And there's a booklet that comes with them, 211 pages that I wrote as well. And so, yeah, I had no intention of creating a deck of cards. And then all of a sudden, I actually met a lady in Canada, and she told me that I was going to be creating an Andromedan deck of cards. And I was like, there's no way. I said, it's just, I haven't got the time. I'm really, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And then about 2 weeks later, a lady that I used to work with in Bustleton when I was a clairvoyant in the Blue Buddha on a Saturday, I used to read cards, and I saw this lady, a clairvoyant, that we would work there occasionally, and we met each other again by accident. And she said, oh, who did you get to publish your cards? And I said, well, I haven't got a deck of cards. And she went, yes, you have. And then I was like, this is within 2 weeks. And then before I knew it, there I was, you know, just getting all this information coming through, and it was finished really quickly.
And so who'd you get to design them?
So I did all the designs of the cards. So I used artificial intelligence for the imagery. So I just put the prompts into, you know, Magic Studio, and then it generated the images. And I just used my wisdom with numerology for the archetypes and color therapy as well, because the cards align with the different colors of the chakra system, because the different galactic races help humanity with certain human conditions associated with the different energy centers. So I just combined like all the wisdom I had at that time, and you know, made it happen as quickly as I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before I interrupted you and went off on that, you had a question for me, and it was about you and your husband.
Yeah. So now you might know a little bit more about this than I do, but I recently became aware of the cloning Andromedan twin thing. And Mark and I, in numerologically, we're both very similar. We're both born on the 16th of October. So
Oh, wow.
we've been together now for like 25 years. And one of the reasons why we connected was because we identified each other through our, you know, similarities between the traits that we have, both as being karmic number 16 day numbers, Librans as well. And through looking at our galactic lineage, our origins, we both actually have come in from Andromeda, both from a little planet around the star Mirage in the Andromeda constellation. And I then started hearing more recently about there were twins. There were clones. So Andromedans often have a twin or a pair. And I was wondering if that we have, you know, like you were saying, like I'm part of a triplet Pleiadian
Right.
group. Maybe Mark and I have also got this Andromedan soul connection, but we both incarnated into physical human form.
You do.
You know, do you feel like is that right, or am I making that up?
I know you're extremely accurate. And you switch roles on different lifetimes for different learning lessons is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. So he could have been my dad, or I could have been his mum or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you're right on. You're exactly right.
Yeah. So it's almost like there is that. I feel like I actually did come in with another Andromedan soul into this incarnation, but I can understand how I also have the triplet Pleiadian thing going on as well.
Well, we have aspects of our soul that do different things, and I've been shown that. Well, they showed me one time that I had like 2 rings around the top of my head, and they go in opposite direction, and they have these balls on it. And all those are different lifetimes that you're experiencing, and they're moving all the time. And it showed me I was walking, and this circle was going around my head, the 2 of them in opposite directions. And they were saying when you can see a different lifetime is when those balls overlap. When the 2 balls overlap, you can see your different lifetime at that same time. And I'm going, well, shoot, when I'm working on a spaceship, it must have gotten stuck for me to remember so much of that. But that's what they did show me, that we have different aspects of our life that are playing out different roles in different lifetimes all at the same time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. What do you know? Do you know about the golden sphere that sits above the top of the head? What is that? You know, because I keep going into that. It's like a big golden sphere, and I think it's about 12 foot above the top of your head. And when you close your eyes, you can get inside of the sphere, and you can look out, and you can see that through the sphere, like you're in a big bubble, but you can see like the mountains and stuff and the valleys.
Oh.
What is that?
Well, I don't go in the sphere. I go out there in the universe.
Oh, right. Okay.
You're lucky you have something that contains you.
I do.
I don't have anything that contains me. I'm out there.
You're lucky. You've got more freedom.
Yes. Yeah, I go on out. There is no containing me. In fact, it has been like when I do open up my chakras, you know how most people go from sacral chakra, I mean, root chakra up. I have to go from crown down because if I go that way, I'm climbing out of my crown chakra and bye bye body.
So, have you got any twins or triplets as part of your sort of cosmology?
I do. I travel with two other beings. I'm the only one that's here on Earth. When we travel together, we're light bodies. It's like the form of a body, but it's just all light. Mine has a little bit of a bluish hue to it, but that's what I see us traveling together. And they're around me all the time and supporting me down here, but I am the only one in human form. And we have done this, we have traveled to different places. We went to Arcturus first to help that area ascend. Then we went to the Pleiades, and then we're here. So the three of us travel together to help whatever universe needs to ascend. That's where we go. So I don't know where we'll go next, but I will not be in the physical form next time. One of them gets the physical form.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, that'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be a bit of a break, won't it? Do you know what their names are?
Yes, but I'll disclose that later.
Okay. Do you know what my brothers are called?
Oh, let me ask them. Was another one that does start with an H. Horus is one of them. Horus, Horace. Ian is the other one. Horus and Ian. So that's their name, Horus and Ian.
Oh, wow. Horus, that's interesting because Horus was the son of Isis and Osiris.
Oh, really?
Horus.
Do you think there's a connection?
I don't know. I doubt it. I don't know if it was spelt like that, but yeah, he was the. I'm sure he was the. Didn't he end up murdering Seth or Set? It was his twin brother, and he ended up one of them murdered the other one anyway.
I'm sitting here clueless. I don't know. I don't know.
The Eye of Horus. Well, it's funny you should say that because I met with a lady who did my Melchizedek initiation into the sort of the Melchizedek lineage called Starfire, I think she was called. This was about 3 or 4 years ago. And she said, the symbol of the Eye of Horus is going to become very significant to you in your life. And, it's funny because then I kept seeing it everywhere. My husband's half Maltese. And we go to Malta a lot. And of course, the Eye of Horus is on all the boats that you see, there. And it's starting to become something that's, I think a lot of people, that it's becoming a symbol that's in the zeitgeist a lot more, isn't it? Now as well. So I feel like, the name Horus, it's not a surprise to me that I might have a twin or a triplet. Named
Horus and Ian. I think Ian, that name's pretty significant too. I wonder what it is.
Well, it's the name of my stalker, one of them. I've got 2 stalkers. Yeah.
Oh, you're being serious.
No, I have. Yeah. No, I've had some very strange encounters, Gail, over the years. Specifically, more recently, a lady from Quebec jumped on a plane and flew across and landed on my doorstep. So she flew from Canada to Perth in the middle of the night and was knocking on my front door in sets of 3. So she was going knock, knock, knock like that. And then she'd stand there and then she'd go knock, knock, knock again. So I woke up in the middle of the night hearing this knock, these 3 knocks. And I was like, what is that? What's going on? So I jumped out of bed and our front door's like half glass. And I could see this woman standing on the doorstep, and I recognized her straight away. She was a lady that I'd spoken to doing a discovery call for like a wellness consultation about 8 months before. And I knew that there was something not quite right with her. And I was just like, look, I don't think I'm the right person to help you. And I sort of finished the call, but she became really obsessed with me and started saying that I was her husband in a previous incarnation, a parallel incarnation, where I was a powerful shaman and she was my wife, and she was convinced of it. So when she arrived on my doorstep, she was wearing almost like ancient Egyptian clothing.
Oh,
And
wow.
she had this big sort of like Carmen Miranda sort of head thing on, and an upside down onk and a little gold suitcase. And she was going, you know, she just wouldn't leave. She was just standing there like a zombie, knocking on the front door in sets of 3. So we had to get the police in to take her away. And she ended up like staying in Australia for 3 weeks before eventually the federal police called us in Perth airport to tell us that she'd left, because it was really quite scary, you know, sort of having somebody that had become that obsessed, you know. It was awful. But it was like I tend to attract these really like strange stalkerish people, and for a while I thought she might have been multidimensional. I didn't know how she got from, you know what I mean? I was like, is she like, has she time traveled to get here? You know, like who is she? It was just, I had PTSD for ages after that.
Oh,
But
gosh.
yeah, the other stalker's called Ian.
And the other star, oh my gosh. And
Yeah. So I think I might have to change his name to something else.
yes, I think you will. And there might be, as I said, they are jokesters. So there might be a joke behind that.
Bizarre. Yeah.
All right. Well, Hayden, is there anything else you want to ask or you want to tell everybody? How about the things that you do? We just have a few more minutes here.
Well, I mean, the other thing that, I mean, you know, if people are interested in what I do, a great way to sort of engage with the work that I do is by becoming a member of the Oversoul Codex Collective, which is it's a group of like-minded starseeds and you know, cosmic wanderers from all over the world that get together every month, and we have like you know, interesting conversations, and I, you know, bring in guest speakers every now and again. So Gail, you'll have to become one of those as well at some point down the timeline. And it's only $33 to become a member, and you get 3 months access. And then it's $33 per month after that. So you can check it out, check out all the wisdom through the Oversoul Codex cards, which I showed you here, which are in prototype form at the moment.
Okay.
And there's lessons in there as well that teach you about the cards and, you know, all aspects of your Oversoul archetypes.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate you being here.
You're welcome.
Thanks everybody for joining us. When is your next show, Hayden? When will you be doing another show? Or you do lives on what, Friday night? Well, here it's Friday night. It's probably Saturday morning there.
Oh, what do you mean, as in for my live streaming on YouTube?
Yeah.
So I normally go live once a week, normally on a Friday, and I do starseed numerology insights for people. So I'll look at their numerology and look at their day number, their life path number, their personal year cycle, and their arrows of individuality, just as little insights, you know, during the live. And then I release a podcast episode weekly. So there's one that's just been launched about an hour ago now on my channel, which was an interview with a guy called Dr. Stephen Booth, who is an esoteric acupuncturist.
Oh,
And he
wow.
works with Metatron, and he projects sacred geometry into the meridians to create transformation energetically within people. So he's a bit of a high magician. So if you love anything like that, then definitely watch that episode. It's just been launched on my channel about an hour ago.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Hayden, for being here. And my next show, I think, is going to be Saturday, and it'll be all about aliens on that show. But thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you later. All right. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.